Hello everyone, and welcome to Test Run. I'm your host, Code Marvelous, and today I am again joined by Spags.
How's it going?
It's going really good, and we are on competitive Jinteki, and we are taking the Sandvich deck for a spin. I'm going to put the link to the deck building D-Res in the show notes. Let's give our opponent the good luck, have fun, and let's take a look at our opener. Spags, what do we think?
Well, we're going against Wizard. It's going to be a tough matchup already. No ice, which isn't terrible. We have a friends and we have a lot of stuff to trash. I mean, I could feel like I could stick with this and force them to come at it. I'd love a piece of ice to protect that remote, but what do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to defer to your judgment. I think we could come back from this pretty easily.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's try it.
Via
No agendas.
Via con Dios.
Yes. I don't mind because we have Sandberg, we have two Breaker Bays, we have the Friends. There we go.
That seems good. That seems okay.
Yeah. Set that remote up then.
So we're going to do Mother Goddess in a remote with Breaker Bay and Adonis.
Yep. Worst case, they siphon, and then we just dump the money right into the Adonis, right? Without rezzing.
We do it without Breaker Baying.
Yep. And if he can't get in, which I'm guessing he won't, because he'll need a Faust and then two other cards. Real good start. That's one interesting thing I like about this deck. It's weird. You leave the centrals. You just hope they defend themselves for the first few turns and rush. Ugh. Temujin's an enemy of the deck, but not terrible. I've had people burn through multiple ones, and if we draw another piece of ice, we can shut it off pretty quick.
Yeah, Temujin, I have found, is not as good against purple as I would like it to be. No. Like, you're just... It basically makes it so you get closer to breaking even in the mid-game.
It definitely helps a lot, but I'd rather face a Temujin Wiz than a Dumblefork, because they're probably going to have less ice kill.
Right.
Okay. What is he trashing something here?
I don't know what's going on here.
Trashing the Breaker Bay.
Oh, he accidentally took all three of his recurring credits instead of two.
Yes.
All right, so he's got some money.
Yep, that's fine. So do we. We draw a piece of ice here. I feel fine.
You feel good about it? All right, so let's fire up that HB combo. Seems really good.
We have to go with the draw here.
Yeah. So let's draw.
Ooh.
Suboptimal.
No, sucks. But what are you gonna do?
Are we going again?
You gotta draw again, I think here.
Yay!
There it is.
I guess we go ahead and just put that one on HQ there.
That's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I had one the other day.
One of my faves, the next bronze.
Yeah. I had one the other day with this deck where I'm just like, all right. Because the agenda density isn't light, but it's definitely not high either.
I think 9 is really good.
Or not agenda density, I'm sorry. Ice density.
Ice, yes.
Where I'm just like, draw another agenda. Draw another agenda. I'm like, cool, all right. And you're just doing like stone face, like, please don't legwork me. Like...
Right. That's where I've seen, if you want to go more utilitarian, you could drop the Sandbergs and add more ice or more biotic or more CVS, and that's fine. I just feel like the Sandberg gives it a little more flavor, and especially if you can protect it, it's going to get really nasty.
It's awful. Yeah, it's just terrible. And it's another thing for them to deal with. Right? It's like it's another like must trash asset. Jack Sinclair, what is going on?
Oh, what? Wow, interesting. What are we facing here, Dan?
I don't know. I don't know why you would pay 2 influence for Jack Sinclair and Wizard, but we are going to find out.
Well, think of it. You can get your Temujins better, right? You're going to get 5 Temujin runs off of a Peddler Temujin, I guess. Is that the plan? I don't know.
I don't know.
Do you think Howard install and draw?
Yeah.
Look for some ice?
That seems good.
I don't mind losing it with the friends, or we can even just fire it, but we'll probably just let it get killed.
So we did get a fair child.
Where do you think here? Do you want to protect Howard and set up another remote, or maybe R&D in case he pops a medium? I don't think, or do you want to double ice HQ?
I don't
I would.
know. I don't know if we necessarily need to be worried about double icing HQ just yet. I don't know. I mean, again, it's like we're trying to divine what's on the peddler.
I would say we know what we lose to mediums, so I would put it on R&D, because especially if he has a medium on that peddler with a Jack Sinclair, that could be some deep dig.
Yeah.
Let's make it painful.
But Dan Giorgenio says early medium dig's always bad.
Well, usually, but it does create a pressure and a threat you have to deal with, right? You have to purge or do something, otherwise the next medium runs will be deadly.
Yeah.
But you're right. Usually, he's right. Early medium digs are somewhat of a runner trap.
So we letting him get it?
I think we let it go. I mean, it's
only
fine.
There's only one card in the trash.
We have friends, and we I mean, he's killing it for free. But I mean, what else? Yeah, you're not going to waste it on one card.
Yeah. This is where he rebirths into Kim and just drops the hammer.
He's got to get in first, but you're right. That would be interesting. I'm fine with that. If he goes off of wizard credits, that's a win for us.
It's so weird because I want to like Edward Kim because his ability on paper seems powerful, but it's for a meta that doesn't exist anymore. Like, he would have been such a tremendous runner in the Genesis cycle when super modernism was everywhere, and like Wayland played like literally zero assets.
No, you remember the world is yours decks back then? It's like
all operations.
Yes, if he came out and when Wizard came out, he would have been great. And then when Wizard came, when the asset rise came, right? If they would have flipped spots, that would have worked well. But Kim never had his time.
Right at the time when he would have been really good, we didn't have him. All right. So how ballsy are we? I guess is the real question.
Well, Dan, here's the thing I like to look at. Okay, I always look at how much ice is left versus what's in the deck. So 13 out of 36, 1 and 3. That's my borderline. Like, I don't want to go below, like percentage-wise below that. So there's a 1 in 3 chance of hitting ice, and we have a friends. I mean, you're probably going to lose an agenda. I think it's almost worth it right here.
I'm going to leave that decision to you.
Well, what are your other options?
Yeah, I mean,
hedge and
draw for some ice, or friends,
or draw. What would you do here?
I would just go balls to the wall time.
Yeah, fire the ABT.
All right.
Yeah, I'm down.
Because let's
see, there's a clod on there.
If there's a clod on there, I'm gonna be so pissed.
I would be shocked. Yes,
fire
indeed.
It. Oh, yes. All right.
I would put that on R&D and the Ichi on HQ. What do you think? Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, sounds really good. That was a well fired. Do you like what they added, Dan? Did you see the new text they put in when you blow an ABT?
Oh, like if you completely screw it, what does it say?
Yeah. So when you completely blow it, you see now that you don't have to manually drag, right? You just hit the button and
then it trashes everything. Yeah.
If you do it and there's no ice, the button says, "I have no regrets."
Yeah. I mean, you can't have regrets, man. You got to follow your dreams of free ice. Well, I don't know if you saw. I think it was Holly, but I may have been wrong. Put up the thing where she used, I think, what was it? Rushed relocation to put 2 Janices back on the top of the deck before firing an ABT that was never advanced.
Nice.
And it's just like dreams do come true, and I'm just like, oh, it's so delicious.
Yes. Dreams that you manufacture can definitely come true.
Yeah, 30 credits of free ice.
That's awesome.
But yeah, HB has so many like weird click compression and like move cards around tricks now.
Yes. I like it. It bodes well for the future of what they're planning on doing or having like the focus of the faction be. So
what? Wow, just like really board state manipulation and like imaginary clicks?
Right, exactly. Manufacturing clicks and just some weird
efficiency.
Like
efficiency.
Right. Yeah, we were talking about that. Look at ETF. I love the flavor text, man. We were just talking about this deck, man. It's just effective, reliable, and I don't know about the humane part, but
they would like to think it's humane.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Director Haas is basically like a eugenicist.
Yes.
Because she's like, well, most of the human race is vestigial anyway, and we don't really need them.
No, right. They're outmoded.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Well,
Yeah.
that was quite an ABT, 9 credits worth of ice. I mean, the only thing better could have been like a Fairchild in there. Oh, that's fine too.
Hey, as long as it's not an X dice, I'm pretty okay with it.
Yeah, we can always friends it back, or if we can get another piece of,
Ooh.
ooh, that's bad news. If we can get another piece of ice on archives to shut the data sucker down, that would be really nice. So data sucker Jack Sinclair could get ugly here.
All right.
Well, oh, nice. Okay, here's what I think. I think you go bronze on archive, hedge fund, and you friends back the Adonis and the Howard. How does that sound?
And we're putting the Adonis back on Breaker Bay.
Yep. And then maybe in a turn here, if we get another piece of ice, we can protect the Sandberg and um, then really put some pain on because that parasite will never work. So the thing here, we're not getting a draw out of the Howard, which is fine, but we get the friends back. I love friendsing a Howard back because you can recycle it immediately.
Then we're getting
Biotic,
Biotic, Friends, and what else?
hedge.
Seems good.
You always want to leave targets for friends, I feel like.
Yeah, that's true.
So
And then
I usually put ice back or operations back.
and any assets we're shuffling back, he can also potentially remove from the game
Right, if he can get in.
if he can get in.
It's looking pretty ugly for him. He doesn't have any money.
Yeah, it's not great.
No. I would think a purge maybe next turn. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, depending on what we draw, I don't see us being in any kind of like scoring option, and we don't have the ice to protect Sandberg yet.
And we don't have a full hand. We don't have to dump anything. It would buy us a little time. Everything's ice right now. I just feel, and the Adonis would be ticking away. I think we're in a good spot. He has 0 breakers. Nothing in the bin, right? Has he been to breaker?
No,
No.
he has
Wow.
used all 3 I've had worse though.
Wow. Little does he know we have 3 snares in here. Ooh.
That'd be crazy. Do you remember back when like corp decks didn't have anything worth splashing, so people
Yes.
had like a single snare in like every corp deck?
Fantastic. I think it's still a fun surprise.
I died to one at regionals last year. The guy was playing ETF and he had 1 snare in his deck, and I ran and I deep dug with medium and had 2 cards in hand, and he was just like, "You saw the snare, didn't you?" I'm like, "I sure did."
Yeah.
All right, so
And
we got
really-
it next. Are we gonna go for the purge?
Well, let's think here. What about maybe drawing, and then we could next Silver and Sandberg in a new remote, and then if he tries to be tricky, yeah, we'll save that. What do you think, Silver Sandberg?
Yeah, seems good.
Yeah, if he tries to make a run, he's gonna get slammed. Like, oh, I'm gonna go with the mimic through this architect.
Nope.
No, you're not.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, it sounds good, man. It's looking real good right now, to be honest. We got one agenda scored. No Sand City Grid yet, but that's fine. We got time.
Yeah, and I feel like this deck is very good at playing what it draws, generally speaking, unless it gets a really unfavorable order. So I don't find myself like frantically drawing for cards in this deck as I do
Yes.
some other corp decks where you need to get specific cards at specific times.
I agree. Right. So that's why a card like a blue level clearance in here is not as good because it's not as needed.
So we're gonna res Mother Goddess. Are we also gonna res Sandberg?
Well, you have to, or he's going to get in.
Right. So let's go ahead and do that.
Because he has the slums, and we don't want him to really affect that yet. So it's not as painful as if he would have hit an Architect or an Ichi, but let's keep the money rolling, right?
Right.
Unless he has a David on that Peddler, which I doubt. That's the only bad thing of the Sandberg is that it does facilitate David, which, well, that's fine too.
Right. I mean, we have ice with a lot of subroutines. So if people are willing to just like chew through their Davids for like a couple of accesses, that's also
Right.
completely okay.
Exactly. I'd say at least half our ice has multiple subroutines. There
Uh-oh.
we go. Perfect. Fine with it. We may need a purge next turn here,
Yeah.
now that we kind of have the centrals locked up. Nice. Man, he just used that Jackson Clare pretty willy-nilly running into unresed ice. It's pretty bold. I guess with if it's a Fairchild, I guess he can click through.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you got to be bold, right?
I guess if it was a next gold with the Sandberg, he would have been screwed hard.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I've also seen a variant of this deck where somebody slotted a single brainstorm, which is pretty good. If
Yes.
it lands, it's incredible. Let's put it
Yes. Oh
that
my
way.
gosh. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Aaron Andrews, he had one in his HB trap stack, and it's perfect, right? If it lands once, it's devastating. It's game over, essentially. Yeah, snare and HB, that is old school tech. Hmm. Still light on credits here.
Yeah.
Parasite's all over. This is not going to get him anywhere, especially with the Sandberg. I don't know what he's thinking. He's desperate, I guess, but we can just purge like every
Every
third
couple
turn
turns. Yeah.
if need be, or just keep making money and he'll never get in.
Dirty lawn. Dirty laundry. Okay.
Love it. This is true desperation. Wow.
Yeah, things are getting a little crazy.
Uh, I'd say. What do you think the next turn is, Dan? Do you want to purge or do you want to see what we draw? Ooh, well,
All right.
that's ugly, but it's not going to affect us now.
I think we purge since we don't
Yeah.
have any ice to
Yeah,
support Sansan right now.
I agree. Or no agendas to score with it. So,
Yeah.
yep, sounds good. I don't mind purging every other turn at this point, as long as you have assets ticking money in your pocket.
Right.
Doesn't
Then the Sandberg is offsetting the parasite growth also.
right? Exactly. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
another reason I like Sandberg. If you can keep it on like this, I know the next dice is fragile, but look at how well it keeps everything floating.
Well, that's why initially, even though I agree with your sentiment from the deck building derez that vanilla is usually an ice for decks that want to go fast, but having like 3 strength vanillas when you're at 15 credits is incredible. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yep,
in my old Sandberg deck, I had 2 of them because when you res them and they become like 5 strength and they don't influence your Sandberg math because they're not taking any money out of your credit pool, it's pretty
sure.
silly.
I agree. It's I love vanilla as well. It's just not as hardy when you don't have Sandberg, obviously.
Right.
I was even thinking about magnets in this deck.
But how do they even work?
Yes, thank you.
Um,
All right.
Actually, that's actually still a Netrunner joke because every single time I've actually gotten a magnet's ability to fire, I've always had to like spend 5 minutes typing in JNet explaining to my opponent how it works.
Very good.
All right, so we got a Fairchild. We got our other Fairchild.
All right, Dan, here's a question. Do we go with a third remote? Are we ready? Are you ready for the scoring remote?
I think we could be ready for the scoring
You
room.
could do Fairchild.
Do we want to draw and see if we get a second piece of
Sure,
ice?
sure.
Okay. Another
We don't want to
Sand
throw him
Grid.
around. Yeah, because with the slums, we don't want to throw him around willy-nilly. On the other hand, he doesn't have any money. I mean, he still has wizards, so I'd say probably a Fairchild Sand remote.
Yeah. It's also just so weird that you end up with so many servers in this deck compared to the way HB is usually played, where you have like one real server and then maybe 1 or 2 servers with no ice on them.
Right.
Whereas this is like, let's do like a bunch of one ice servers. Let's do that.
It really can afford to. It doesn't need. And look, they're not. They can't even touch the centrals. I mean, 2 ice seems like plenty for now. And once again, maybe we just purge again next turn. Who knows? We'll see what happens. I'd like to see a little more money, right? We've only seen the one asset so far, which is bizarre. But to be honest, with slums, we kind of have to protect them, so we don't really have room for a lot of assets right now.
Right. And as long as we're not being forced to spend money, it doesn't super matter either way.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
God, Sansan City Grid's such a good card.
And super good. Always been one of my favorites.
Well, I like how also like this is a perfect example of like how the power level has changed because this card was so very balanced in the core set because the idea of the corp paying 6 credits was like so hard,
Right.
especially for NBN out of the core set. They had like
Yes.
no money, which
Yes, I
is
agree.
hilarious to say now, obviously.
Right.
But
That's why I ported it out. Like talking about that Worlds 2013 deck I played, it was like this. It was 3 Eves, 3 Adonis, 3 Sand City Grid, 3 Biotic. It was like fast advance and raw money.
oh,
But even then, it wasn't that rich because you didn't have Breaker Bay.
our opponent disconnected.
Oh gosh.
But he was in between. He or she was in between clicks, so I think it might have been an unintentional.
Maybe they'll come back. Will they reconnect? Maybe we
Yeah,
could
let's
see.
give it a second. But yeah, no, I mean, I played HB mid range fast advance for a long time. Like it was just a really balanced, resilient against a lot of different archetypes deck,
Yep, I agree. It's always been one of my favorites.
and it just feels like a net runner, right? Like it
Yes.
feels like some pretty good net runner.
Yep.
Right. I think we're gonna have to call this game dead. Do we want to jump and try to find another opponent real quick?
Yeah, we could try another one more. I think we can call that a win.
And we're gonna call that one a win.
I
Yeah.
think so. If they leave, and I mean, well, look at the shape we're in. I think it's pretty solid. I don't know what was coming out
That
of there.
successful ABT means that we won.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. I don't make the rules.
Oh no, I was just enjoying your stories.
I mean, I just love playing stupid bullshit, which I hope that's what I'm famous for, because that's what I would like to be famous for.
I think you're famous for content, I would say, and the of decks you publish,
But
which
yeah.
has led to, I think, you a lot of likes as a result.
Yeah. Well, I
Because
mean,
you've built a brand.
I built a brand. Yeah. I always think it's funny because people are like, "Why? How do you have so much karma?" I'm like, I literally like signed up for Netrunner DB like the 3rd day it existed, and I've been publishing garbage ever since. So when you've been publishing as much as I have for as long as I have, you're gonna create basically like a karma inertia, exactly like Reddit,
Yeah,
where like the
exactly.
higher ranked of a content producer you are, the more likely people are to look at your stuff, which means the more likely they are to like it.
Right. And just that familiarity that when they see a Code Marvelous deck, they know there's going to be a certain quality level to it.
Or I don't know about that. There's gonna
Well,
there's gonna be a
certain je ne sais quoi.
yeah, there's gonna be a certain feel to it. Mostly my love of just trying to make cards I find interesting work really hard. That's why I really also yeah, good luck, have fun. That's why I also really appreciate the work that you and like Big Boy and like a bunch of other people do, because a lot of times I take ideas and I go like whole ham, like what you did with the Jeeves engine, where I just went so hard on it that I made the deck not work, and then you took that same idea and like took the edge off of it so that it was a little bit more functional and it was like a more balanced deck. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So are we keeping this?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, this seems
super
pretty
fun.
okay.
Yeah, I think that just helps in general, right? Like internet group thinking that just if you have multiple people polishing something, you're going to get a better product usually.
Yeah. I just tend to have this thing where I get like in love with the concept of a deck or like a card interaction, and I get too focused on it to the detriment
Sure.
of the other pieces of the engine
Yep.
sometimes.
A little myopic in your view sometimes.
Correct. So, what are we
Solid
doing
start.
here?
I would say next Bronze HQ because it's criminal, and then set up that remote because I don't think she'll trash it.
Do we want to just do it no ice, or are we icing
Yep.
it?
Naked.
Yeah. So just to kind of enumerate, or yeah, just go over why Spags chose the bronze. Generally speaking, there are some exceptions. Code Gate Breaker is the most expensive breaker that criminals have.
Yes. Outside of the passport. And I just always feel like it's one they're less likely to go and grab, right? I just always fear the paperclip more. I'd rather force a code gate breaker than the paperclip out early. Oh my.
What?
Oh boy. Here's the casual issue, Dan. We're actually facing this person is a LARPer here. They're a story runner. Well,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be too tough, but let's see how it goes.
Hey, man. I was
You
gonna
never
say
know.
I double checked the name to make sure we weren't up against Constantine Kelvasil.
Yes. Might be a Smurf.
He might be.
I
It
don't think
might
he
be.
runs Blackguard though.
All right, so what are we doing here? Yeah, Blackguard is
Uh,
another card I tried really hard to make work
yeah.
and just could not do it. Turns
I
out
don't.
11 credits is just way too much for a console.
Yeah, and I don't think we mind the ability on it because we should have money. I would draw here.
Love it.
I would just set up another scoring or a money remote.
Seems pretty good.
Yep.
We're
Lead
li-
the
we're living we're
Centrals.
living the HB dream right now.
This is, man, with no whiz. Yeah. If you're facing a non-wizard and you have this kind of start, it's pretty devastating.
With all this newly made beachfront property, courtesy of Wayland.
Sex spots on the beach.
What is
What?
what? Yeah, I like how we're both like, wait, what card is that?
Well, let's enjoy the show here at least ourselves. What are you gonna do?
I don't know.
That's fine. It's fine.
That's fine. Everything is fine. Nothing is ruined. Um,
They're gonna be really slow to set up. You can probably start rushing agendas if you really wanted to get cheeky.
yeah, I mean, I feel like we could probably just put the next silver down, and then put the Ichi in front of it just in case he
Yeah.
inside jobs.
Yep, I would agree. And the ABT. Yeah, go for it. Let's do that, and if we don't draw an ice next turn, we'll fire the ABT.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, you were talking about smurfing. I'm going to share this story on the channel. I have a Smurf account that I created just to be able to tell a dumb joke to my friends.
Okay.
So I created a variation of the name Zero Cool to be my Smurf after we were discussing it, just so I could play my friends and like mess with them. And then when they talked about me as my Smurf later, I could say I was Zero Cool. I was like, I literally spent months
Lord.
setting up a dumb joke.
That's
All right,
fantastic.
we drew an ice, so we're not going to
Oh.
fire it.
We only have 12 out of 39. I don't know. It seems pretty rough. I mean, if you want to fire it for fun, it is Silhouette with Rolodex. I mean, it's probably going to abjectly fail, but what the hell? Let's do it.
No regrets.
No regrets. You might be able to see the no regrets button.
Nope,
Oh!
you get 2.
Well, no regrets at all there.
Fairchild on R&D, Architect on HQ.
Sounds good to me. Insane. I like this addition where you don't have to drag the things because I
Yeah.
would always forget them, and they became my own personal hidey hole.
Yeah, that's not an illegal board state or anything.
It was like Glen Station without the agenda. You could just hide stuff there.
Oh my god, do you remember when the Glen Station like ruling came out where people
Yes.
weren't sure how it worked?
Or where the cards go from
Yeah, and
it.
it's just like, oh, I'm just gonna put this government takeover on Glen Station and then advance it there.
Or sack it. Can we sack that to Archer? What if the agenda is the agenda out of the game now? Did it float away in space?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
LL,
Friends in High
yes.
Places doesn't do much for us. Do we want to just keep windmilling agendas in?
Yeah, I would think so. Let's draw first. Wow, a lot of ice coming. I would just install advance.
Yeah. Seems okay.
Just quick. End the pain quickly here. I have no idea. This looks like a random
what is even
set
going
of
on?
cards. It honestly looks like if you know on Hearthstone when you're like just fill my deck in, that's what it looks like.
Oh man.
One thing I got to note about this deck, I'm happy with the reception in general. A lot of players have been like, you know what, this didn't look too great on paper, Spags, but it actually is a pretty strong deck. I'm like, yeah, I know it. I put a lot of work into it, and I wasn't sure either because I was just playing a lot of casual room decks.
Right.
But I played just a variety of IDs, like almost any ID you can think of. Dan, I thought it was performing well.
Yeah. I mean, and
That's why I published it.
yeah, it's a really solid. The best part about this is that it really captures the feel of like if you're attracted to the HB faction, this deck wants to do the things that you consider fun.
Right. Exploit bioroids for money.
Yeah, cheap labor. Freeing humanity to pursue the sciences. All right.
Go. I don't know what we need that token for, but we'll see.
I mean, we could just windmill Adonis back in if we really wanted to.
Well, we can even friends it too. We only have one thing in there, right? So, oh, it's an Au revoir deck.
I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is.
Okay, running the server. I- oh, because Au revoir done. Okay.
Nope, he's
You only have
trashing
one.
it. Hey, but now we can fire friends in high places.
Now we can. We can show the raw power of it. You can put the agenda in the remote. You can hedge and you can friends. There you go. Maybe this person has never seen that card before, but
Yeah,
now they get to.
but yeah, I like what this deck wants to do, and it's like the same thing. It's like you get attached to decks, you want them to be well received. That's why like I probably trained harder for the store championship, for the first store championship that I took Smoke to, than I had did for regionals last year, because it
Sure.
was so important to me that I have a good showing with her, so that people would like take a serious look at the build.
Yep. It's hard to argue for it when it falls on its face, right?
Right, but that's something I've never thought of myself as a bad pilot, but I definitely don't think of myself as being like a really strong pilot or like a tier 1 pilot. So like for me, I feel like a lot of times I build decks and then other people pilot the ideas that I create better than I do. Like there was people in
Mm,
Europe who took my Temple's NEH deck with it much farther in tournament settings than I was able to.
sure. Well, you play in a pretty tough meta, especially for regionals, Dan.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it is great. It's a great meta, but it's not great for your self esteem.
No. But it is good, like, kind of if you have a child and they go off in the world and do well, you want your children to do better than you, right? Usually. And um, it's the same with the deck, right? That's like a child of yours. Like, if you see it succeed elsewhere in other people's hands, it's still a good feeling. I mean, not as good probably as winning yourself, but
Right? Yeah. No, it's good, and yeah, just having Smoke perform really well and me win my CTM matchups felt good.
I think that is good. And I think piloting skill sometimes is a little overrated when someone builds a deck or puts a lot of time into or really knows it inside and out. I think that can be more important than player skill
I mean,
in certain
that is the that is literally the reason
environments.
I started this show, because I thought that the insights, not just from like a deck write up, which obviously you usually do very good ones, but actually seeing people go through the thought process while they're deciding what cards to play out of their hand is really useful for people who are trying to pick up a new deck.
Hmm. And that's what you want from a good streamer, right? Like I was watching Ben Nee today, and he's playing this
So
deck, and
good.
he was like talking about moves and like, should I do this now? And even after the fact, I like his
Or lose me
admitted
a
it, and
little
that's
bit.
good for a player to see too. I was gonna say that's good for a player to see too, though, right? Like a good player admitting mistakes and lines of play they should have taken.
Yeah. I mean, and that's something that I've started to try to do more myself, both in the tournament setting and also with the stream that I'm doing, the code busting streams, where I'm like, I literally get done doing something and I'm like, that was a really dumb idea. Why did I do that? The obvious play was to do this, like, but like it's stuff like that that's really important. And I think we just call this a day on this,
That, that's it.
and then we fire it because of course you fire it.
Yes, of course. Oh, lost two agendas.
Yeah. All right, and he
They even had a
left
black file already.
before I got a chance to give him the GG.
Yeah,
We had a
that's
little
true.
bit of fun, but there's nothing wrong with people experimenting with new decks.
For sure.
And this definitely feels like an RP deck to me, which is cool because we've got Fall Guys, which feels kind of silhouette-y. We've got Guru, Film Critic, Rolodex. We got Black File and Blackguard. I think we were definitely going for some sort of interesting theme here.
Sure looks like it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the deck works. It does what it does. And it's very interesting how, because of Friends and High Paces, it really puts almost an NEH, or not quite to the CTM level, but like a strong like asset spam pressure, which HB's always had a little of, but not like a ton of.
Right. They've kind of ebbed and flowed with it, and the problem is if Wizards around, it always hurts to have naked assets out there, right? But this with the friends, maybe you can create a kind of a tidal wave where they just can't keep up. They have to be like, well, how much of my setup am I going to sacrifice to keep attacking these assets?
Right, and it's like when the Temple team sponsorship decks were really popular, and I'm like, people would be like, oh, what does it do against Wizard? I'm like, Wizard can't trash 3 assets a turn every
Right.
turn. Like, eventually your opponent's going to give up, and when that happens, you just start Avalanche.
Exactly. Zach Cavis noted he watched a lot of this when I was playing it, and he noted it felt like old school RP almost, in that you're using, you know, lightly protected assets and some good punishing ice to set up a scoring remote, and it did feel like RP to me. Just instead of playing side games to protect your remote, you have City Grid, and Sandberg.
Yeah, I think that's an accurate view of it. It's a really fun deck, and I strongly recommend everyone who's like looking to try something a little bit different than the CTM game, or the net damage game, which seems to be having a strong resurgence right now. To give it a shot. It's a lot of fun, and it definitely feels like some net runner, like um
It's Netrunner. It's installing stuff, rezzing stuff, making money.
forcing people to go through that ice as opposed to
Yes.
just killing them. Yeah, no, it feels good, and I think it's aggressively above average against a lot of runners, which is maybe one of its biggest strengths.
Right. I feel like it has a good chance to win against almost any ID.
Yeah, which is not something that can be easily said for all corps right now, or most IDs. We've got kind of a rock paper scissors game going on for a lot of stuff.
Exactly, like link decks can completely shut down a variety of yellow decks, right?
Yeah, or shutdown is like a very mild word. Like I was playing the Citadel Andy Nexus deck against somebody who was playing the making news. I only have trace ice,
Mm-hmm.
and I literally wasn't actually having to break any ice and just
Yeah.
making money. And I have a vamp in there, so I'm just like, I guess I'll just also periodically vamp you with all of the free money that I'm getting off of all
Yeah.
these trace subroutines. It's not great, but yeah, no, give it a shot. Spags is very active on the StimHack forums and online, jumping on other people's content from time to time. So you'll see him around. He's also on Netrunner DB. And as we mentioned in the other episode, the ANRPC, the Android Netrunners Player Circuit, is looking to ramp up in 2017 with some new events. Check them out.
For sure. Yeah, thanks for having me on, Dan. It was fun, and it's fun to see this deck out there, even if it was against the Silhouette Arbois deck.
Hey, it happens, man. Thank you very much for coming on. I always like having you on. And those of you watching at home, until we see you again, always be running.